The night was already bleeding into disappointment when the empty chair across the table became louder than any rejection I had ever known. The candle between us burned low, wax pooling like wasted hope, and every glance at the door felt like another quiet confirmation that the man who promised to show up never would. In that moment, surrounded by the soft clinking of silverware and the hum of other people's conversations, I felt invisible, foolish, and painfully alone, unaware that the emptiest seat in the restaurant was about to change my life forever. Before the story unfolds any further, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet miracles that show up when we least expect them, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel. Your support keeps stories like this alive. My name is Emily Carter, and that night I had broken a promise to myself. I had sworn I was done with blind dates, done with apps and setups arranged by well-meaning friends who believed love could be scheduled like a dentist appointment. But after 2 years of healing from a divorce that hollowed me out and left me questioning my worth, I finally agreed to try again. The man's name was never more than a profile picture and a handful of polite messages, but I told myself that courage sometimes looks like showing up even when fear sits heavy in your chest. So I dressed carefully, choosing a soft blue dress that made me feel calm, and drove to a small Italian restaurant in downtown Columbus, Ohio, trying to believe the night could surprise me. At first, waiting felt harmless. 5 minutes late turned into 10, then 20. I refreshed my phone, checked messages, convinced myself traffic was bad or parking was difficult. But as the restaurant filled and laughter floated past my table, the truth settled in. I had been stood up. The realization didn't explode dramatically. It seeped in slowly, a dull ache spreading through my chest. I stayed seated longer than I should have, pretending to read the menu, pretending the empty chair didn't scream humiliation. When the server gently asked if I wanted to order, my voice barely held together as I said I was still waiting. Life had trained me well in quiet endurance. After my divorce, I learned how to keep moving, even when something inside me felt broken. I learned how to smile at work, how to attend church alone, how to answer family questions with vague optimism. That night felt like a cruel reminder that vulnerability often comes with a cost. I wondered if this was a sign that I should retreat again, that hoping was a mistake I kept repeating. That was when the chair across from me moved. I looked up, startled, expecting an apology or an explanation from the man who never showed. Instead, I saw a stranger holding a tray with 2 small plates of pasta and a glass of milk. He was tall with tired eyes and a softness to his face that didn't match the weight he carried. Beside him stood a little girl, no older than 6, clutching a stuffed lamb and peeking shyly at me. The man hesitated, clearly unsure, then gestured to the empty seat as if asking permission without words. The restaurant was nearly full, and I realized his table had been given away. The child looked exhausted, her head leaning against his side, and something in me recognized that look. It was the look of someone who had already had a long day. I nodded before my mind could catch up, offering the empty chair as if it had been waiting for him all along. What followed was not romance in the traditional sense. There was no immediate spark, no dramatic moment. There was simply presence. His name was Daniel Thompson, and he was a single father raising his daughter, Lily, after losing his wife to cancer 3 years earlier. He had brought Lily out for dinner after a late shift at the hospital where he worked as a respiratory therapist. When their table was taken, he prepared to leave until he noticed me sitting alone. My untouched drink and the quiet sadness I hadn't hidden as well as I thought. We ate together not because of destiny, but because kindness often grows from shared emptiness. Lily fell asleep halfway through the meal, her head resting against Daniel's arm, her small hand still gripping her stuffed lamb. Watching him gently adjust her, wiping sauce from her cheek with practiced care, stirred something deep inside me. I had wanted children once, imagined a future full of bedtime prayers and messy kitchens. That dream had faded with my marriage, tucked away like a photograph I couldn't bring myself to throw out. Daniel spoke about grief not as something dramatic, but as a constant companion. He talked about learning how to braid hair from YouTube videos, about the guilt of smiling again, about nights when Lily cried for a mother who wasn't coming back. I listened, feeling the walls around my heart shift. My own pain felt smaller, not invalid, but understood. I shared pieces of my story too. The quiet loneliness of starting over, the fear that I was somehow unlovable. There was no judgment, no pressure, just two people sitting with honesty where expectation had failed. As the night ended, there were no promises exchanged, no phone numbers scribbled hastily. Daniel thanked me simply, with a sincerity that lingered long after he left. I drove home with a strange warmth in my chest, confused by how a night that began in rejection ended in peace. I told myself it was just a moment, a human connection that happened to land on the same evening as my disappointment. But life has a way of circling back when something matters. Weeks later, I saw Daniel again at church. Lily recognized me immediately, running toward me with the enthusiasm only children possess. Watching her wrap her arms around my legs, I felt something unlock inside me. From there, connection grew slowly, carefully. Coffee turned into shared meals, which turned into long walks and quiet conversations. Daniel never rushed me, never tried to fill a role I wasn't ready for. He allowed space for healing, for faith, for trust to rebuild naturally. Loving a man who carried grief taught me patience. Loving a child who had lost her mother taught me tenderness. There were hard days, moments when Daniel's sorrow resurfaced unexpectedly, when Lily asked questions no one could answer. There were also days filled with laughter, with Sunday pancakes, with prayers spoken softly before bed. I didn't replace anyone. I simply joined a story that was already written in pain and hope. The blind date man never apologized. He never explained. But I stopped wondering why. Because sometimes God removes one person to make room for another who understands your broken places without trying to fix them. The empty chair that once symbolized rejection became the very seat where my life shifted direction. Just before the ending, I want to ask you something special. Please comment below with the word hope if this story reminds you that even disappointment can carry a blessing. Now, as this story comes to rest, I can say this with certainty. Love does not always arrive on time, and it rarely looks like we imagine. Sometimes it comes quietly, carrying a sleeping child and a tired heart, asking only for a place to sit. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that kindness still exists and second chances are real, please like this video, share it, comment, and stay with us by subscribing. Your engagement means more than you know, and it helps these stories reach the people who need them most.